On Barry Charles' Footy Show today, Harry Houdini keeps the Warriors alive for the top four, while Cleary is struggling to believe the result. Can the Warriors make the top four? Destiny is in their own hands. Haas is sayonara. See you later, Kangaroos. I'm playing for Samoa, and Tino and Hammer are next. Let's get to it right here, right now on Barry Charles' Footy Show. Welcome back, guys and gals, to the channel. Let's get to it right here, right now. Harry Houdini, is he the best actor in the world? The Hollywood of the Year award? Absolutely, you betcha. If you actually look at the tape, he could have run that way around Moses Leota and got to him. But he did what he believed was right. Let's run straight into him and let's see what happens. Just roll the dice and hope we get the penalty, and that's what happened. And Moses Leota stepped into it, which if he had stood his ground, I don't think anything happens. I'm not 100% sure what happens with that part of the ruling there. Is he supposed to keep moving forward? If he stopped, would have still been a penalty as well. But the fact that he had stepped one way to the left, it was the end of the game in terms of that part of the game, with that field goal not being allowed. Now, Cleary can't believe it. It should have been a goal. It's been ruled their way all year, so pretty much tough bickies. Celebrate for you Warriors fans. Yes, the Warriors top four beckons. Absolutely. They got to win 4 straight. They do that. They get 4th. They've got to beat Dragons today. Dragons are in form. The Warriors need to find a way to win. But Dragons will be going there confident today. The Warriors are on a form slump. Can they bounce back? Tanner Boyd's got to deliver the biggest game of his career. The young guns, but it's really, with Kurt Capewell out as well, they need their experienced players. The Near Cordes, they need the Rogers, they need all of them to chance Nickel Cox. They need to go up a level in this game tonight and absolutely deliver for the Warriors' sake. But as simple as this, the Warriors win 4, they come 4th. I don't think they can get any higher. They'll come 4th and get the chance to probably take on the Canberra Raiders and find a way to beat them, because they played them twice, got beaten twice. 3rd time's a charm. Warriors for the premiership, potentially. Well, obviously the other big news out of this week has been Payne Haas going, let's get out of here, hit the road, Jack. I'm going to play for Samoa. What does this mean about eligibility rules? Should it be changed? What should happen? Well, I'm in the factors. If you're in New South Wales by the age of 12, 13, whatever it is, or Queensland by the age of 12, 13, start your high school career, and you stay the whole. You don't just come for 2 and then disappear. You go from 12 all the way to 17, 18, 16, 17. When you leave school, then you're eligible to play for New South Wales and Queensland, which I believe is already the rule at this stage. But the only issue is if you have already played for your country, either New Zealand or England, you can't play. So people that have been in that issue is Victor Radley, can't play State of Origin because he already played for England. And then on the other foot, since he's played for Queensland, Kalyn Ponga can't play for New Zealand. So this is just what's the scenarios are happening. And then you've got players of Samoan, Tongan, Fiji heritage who are able to flip and flop as they like, in terms of if they don't make Australia, they just play for the other team. But now we're starting to see more and more and more, and it started with Jason Tamalolo and Andrew Fafita back in the day, and a few others, that they are starting to play for their homeland. It's not necessarily their homeland. A lot of these people are born in Australia or New Zealand or wherever, but they choose to stick with their parents' heritage. So this is where it gets a little bit murky. I understand from an Australian point of view, you're born and raised here, you should want to play for Australia. I understand that as well. I clearly understand that. But I think the rule, clearly, I think if anyone that's started and done their whole schooling in Australia, 13 to 17, I know that people are going to do this specifically so they have a chance of playing Origin. Well, that's good on them for doing that, because that's what you need to do if you want to anyway. So if you're a Kiwi or an England player, you've got to come in when you're young and get through the thing to have a chance. I don't want the Sam Burgess rubbish, or say a Sonny Bill Williams. This is old school, but let's look at, like, say, a Tapane. Those type of players that are not eligible, like, are just allowed to jump into the team. That's where I don't want it to be. I don't just want it to be an all-star event. No, you've got to be playing New South Wales or Queensland from the age of 12. Whenever the start of the school year is for the first year of the high school, that's when you got to be there, registered playing, and that's how you get into to be selection. And then after that, you have to choose which country you play for. And that's when, and people say you got to do it at the age of 12. Rubbish. They don't have to do it at the age of 12. But once they've played, once they get to the selection table at the international level, even if it's before that, they choose. Whenever they get their first opportunity, if it's play for Samoa thing, they choose. You don't go, oh, yeah, I'll play for them. Some of the smart ones did in the day, they just waited to see if they made Australia. And then if they didn't after a few years, then they start moving around. Like you had the Nathan Fiends and the likes who were struggling to, and they got chances to play for other countries because of grandfather heritage, all this Nathan Fiend and the likes back in the day. So Brent Webb, this is when things like this can really get a bit murky. But for me, I think you choose once you get to that 19, 20 mark. Whenever you get that opportunity for their first time to play, and the thing when you either got the option to play for Australia, New Zealand, whoever the country is, you choose, you stick. Now, if you want to go from a player's perspective, I want to give you another side of a player's perspective. Say you played once for Samoa, and you're a good player, but you don't get along with the coach. I want to give you an example of what's happening at the Cowboys, and that's why Todd Payne may be sacked very soon. He has made Jason Tomilolo's career go downhill. He is a gun player. He's been playing not enough minutes. I understand he might have some knee issues, but he could have been playing more minutes and making his career more valuable to him. Now he's not even worth $300K, if that, like if he wants to continue playing after the contract. This, to me, yeah, that is the only issue I see with this selection in terms of Samoa, a chance of, is that if a coach doesn't like you, you might not get picked for 3 or 4 years. I think there's a legitimacy around that. That is a question mark, especially for like someone playing for Australia. They might get the one chance to play for Australia, and then they don't. Maybe the rule was simple in terms of, I don't think you have to definitively have to stay with one team, but if you get selected for one team, maybe it's a 2-year stand down before you can move back to, say, Samoa or something. If you don't play for that country for 2 years, then you can move. I think something like that. I think that works. I think it's fair. And I think it's all for ladder for the World Cup. The World Cup year, if you don't get selected in your, say, Australia, for instance, you can play for it. I think that is fair. But outside of that, maybe have a 2-year window. If it's, say like after the World Cup and you say, I want to play for Australia now, you got to wait 2 years before you get that opportunity. That's not playing international football. They've got to do something like that. Maybe 1 year if you want to be transparent. And that to me just makes it a bit more fair, because there could be some players that are ostracized because they were young gun. They got picked for Australia when they were 18, maybe on the tour, like at the end of the year. Say like a Katoa, for instance, someone like that. But not him, but someone like Robert. Yeah, someone that hasn't played international footy yet. Like, yeah, if someone like that gets selected, let's say like someone like a Lachlan Galvin, for instance, I'm trying to say Robert Toya, maybe. Robert Toya might be the chance. He has the chance to play for Australia. He only gets one game and he never plays for Australia again because there's a few injuries. Latrell Mitchell's out. There's a few injuries that they put him in, and then that's when it can get murky for some players. So I think there's got to be a little bit of a ruling. If they're not selected, purely not selected by the coach after a year or two, they have the option to move to another country. I think if they're allowed to, I think that's fair and a little bit more. But anyway, Harry Houdini got away with it. Good on him. Absolute Hollywood of the year. No doubt about it. But it was a penalty at the end of the day. But the theatric around it was unbelievable. The Warriors, top 4, well, we're going to find out today. If they lose, give up. They have to win. They got to beat the Dragons. We'll find out. And I think Tino and Hammer are going to join Samoa as well. So it's going to be a strong Samoan team. And Australia are going to be licking their wounds. But they've got plenty of players. I don't think they need to worry. It's rugby league at its greatest. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you at the next video.